Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Defense of Democracy University. Our training today is Tech for Activism. We have Josh is our a tech volunteer. He has been assisting us with a lot of the safety concerns that we have as an organization fighting for democracy in the environment that we're in. Before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping things. I like to keep these events moving. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you to please, if you have questions, you can put them in the chat and we can pose them at the end to Josh. And I do want to mention that I'm very appreciative for anybody who made a donation. This is an absolutely free workshop. Uh, but we do collect donations, we do run on donations. So if you are able to, I'm going to put a link in the chat. We want this kind of service to be available for anyone, even if this is, we don't want money to be a factor so that people can't defend democracy. However, some of us are able to make a $5, $10 donation. So I definitely encourage that if you are comfortable and capable of making a donation, to please do so. Finally, I do want to mention that Boundary Span is one of our coalition partners, and they are sponsoring tonight's Defense of Democracy University. Annette, I know I didn't give you any warning about this, but would you like to talk a little bit briefly about Boundary Span and what you do? Is just a gratitude for your support for this program that we're running.
I have to unmute first. Sure. Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. It's great to be here this evening. So yes, my name is Annette Day. I am a master's level social worker and licensed clinical social worker. And yeah, so let me tell you a little bit about Boundary Span. Boundary Span LLC. I've had this practice for about 15 years now. It was my first baby before I thought I could have babies. So it was my baby. It still is. And I was able to take it full time, not until last year, full time virtually. And so what I do is I provide mediation and consultation, as well as clinical supervision for those folks seeking their DRC, licensed clinical social workers, for those who might not be as familiar. And my main thing that I do, though, is I provide virtual therapy, behavioral health therapy services. And so like it ranges, I see everyone from 5 to 95, I like to say. But in addition to trauma, which is actually my specialty, I also help people with depression, anxiety, struggles with concrete resources, social relational familial dynamics. There's a big range. And so the pandemic really put a kibosh on it, like, back when the pandemic happened. And so again, I was able to take it full time as of last year because I have two little ones. They're in like all kinds of everything. So I needed to be present for my family as well. But yeah, so we provide individual, couples, family therapy. I also offer 15-minute free consultations. So if anybody is interested, while I don't take insurance, I do offer a slide and scale fee. And then I can put my website in the chat. I'm also on Psychology Today. I know a lot of people have heard about Psychology Today. So I'm wondering, you can find lots of folks that are helping professionals on Psychology Today, including myself. I do a lot of work with marginalized communities, and it's a range from BIPOC community to LGBT community, people who are neurodivergent. I'm realizing more recently I'm neurodivergent myself, and it kind of runs in my family on my maternal side. So again, lots of different things. So I will put my website in the chat. Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, this is me. This is my website. So thank you for putting that on there. So feel free, and much to my husband's chagrin, I'm pretty much an open book, kind of, sort of. And so on my website, you'll find a couple of social media channels on there, but I also have a couple more that's not on there. So that is me. If anyone has any questions, during the program, feel free to put it in the chat or, ping me or anything like that. And thank you so much for your time. I love
Thank you, Annette.
democracy. Yes.
And one thing that Annette forgot to mention is she's actually a board member for Defense of Democracy. So she's on our board of directors and has been supporting our organization in an awful lot of ways from the very beginning. So Annette, thank you. And thank you for the good work you're doing for your country and Defense of Democracy, and also for the individuals who certainly, need assistance, especially these days.
Yes.
So again, at this point, I am going to turn the conversation now over to Josh so that he can begin his review of Tech for Activism.
Awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joshua Howell. I am the chair of the tech committee. I do have here my wonderful, I don't know, co-chair person, George. He's going to be helping out tonight as well. Today, we are going to be covering, if I can get this to work, we're going to be covering tech for activism. And it's important because we are a 100% decentralized, spread out organization trying to oppose an opposition that happens to have a giant mega platform, tech platform, spouting out all their nonsense. If you follow the QR code on the screen, it'll bring you to our orientation and give you a lot more information about us and as in general, and how you can join the fight with us. So we're going to start with the why of it. Why is technology so powerful? It is a great tool to help mobilize our volunteers and coordinate actions instantly across the nation. It amplifies our shared message with a larger audience. We can reach people all over the world, not just here in America. We can get help from people outside of our own country if we stay organized. And it can help us fundraise, like we're doing on tonight's call, like we do pretty much everywhere we can. We are grassroots to the core. We are 100% funded by all of the great people who help us and those who feel our mission is important enough to open their wallets and help. But it also comes with risks. We are going to be surveilled. We're going to be monitored by our opponents and the authorities. Going forward, because of the mission we have and the opposition we're going against, we will be monitored for the activities we do. That will include all of your social medias, maybe your emails. I apologize if you guys can hear a cat yelling in the background. She is having a moment right now. And then, so another risk is harassment. You'll see it online. It's everything from trolls trying to find out that you are helping with DFD and try to dig up some dirt on you and start making fun of you for that. Sorry, got a cat walking on my keyboard. There we go, harassment. So it'll be online attacks from trolls and adversaries. They'll go either directly after you or they could go after your loved ones. Mostly that is harmless. As far as we've seen, it's just people trying to bring you down and beat you out of the fight, but we're not going to be deterred. And then lastly, there is misinformation. And this will be the spread of false narratives to discredit our work. That is mainly the work you will be doing with DFD and DFD as a whole. But our goal today is to give you the basic knowledge to use technology confidently and reduce your risks. Sorry, I got cats everywhere. To reduce your risks, you don't need to be a tech expert to be secure. Think of it like learning basic first aid. You don't need to be a doctor to know how to clean a cut or put on a bandage. In the same way, you don't really need to be a tech genius to protect yourself online. We're going to learn the digital equivalent of the stop, drop, and roll for everyone. These will be your basic cybersecurity principles like 2FA, multi-factor authentication, end-to-end encryption, making sure you're not bringing in news reporters to your private signal chat, stuff like that. What we're going to cover today is the zero trust principle. It's a simple but powerful mindset to adopt in today's modern technology era. And this is applicable to not just your activism work, but your personal life as well. With the advent of AI getting so much more powerful as a tool for both our opposition and bad actors everywhere, we all need to be on our toes. We need to be ready for everything, so we need to trust no one. We'll talk about protecting your conversations. This would be how to keep your private messages, well, private, out of the prying eyes of your internet supplier, out of your local government agencies, out of your friends and neighbors who are trying to spy on you. And then we'll talk about securing your accounts and devices, the digital locks and security guards for your online life. Using devices while participating, we'll do some practical tips for you while you're on the ground. Let's start with the zero trust principle. This is the motto in the cybersecurity world as well, and more of us are moving towards this. It's never trust, always verify. And the old way of thinking was like, once you're logged into your computer, you're safe. You're in a safe place. Everything is there for you. No one should be trying to hurt you, to trying to get your information. You're trying to, get your financial information, trying to get your secrets stored away. Once you're inside the castle walls, you're considered safe. But that's not true anymore. There are threats that can come from inside your computer. Just because you're logged in and you've got an antivirus rolling on you does not mean you're completely safe. The zero trust way, it's a mindset change where you assume threats can come from anywhere, inside or outside of your device. Every request for access information must be verified. Think of it like, we're going to put 2FA on every two-factor authentication on every account we can. That way, we know that we're verifying when we log in. Even if we know we're logging into our Facebook account, we still need to verify that that's happened. So if you randomly get a two-factor authentication code texted to your phone or your email, and you're like, I haven't logged into GoFundMe in weeks, I haven't logged into my bank, what's going on? That should be a kind of red light, red flag for you that something's going wrong. And we'll talk about more of those tools a little bit later on in the presentation. So protecting our conversations is kind of the important part for most of our activism work. A lot of us are talking daily with each other. We're talking about how to directly combat these extremists when they're trying to take over local school boards, when they're trying to change legislation that's going to affect our children in our libraries. We'll be talking about stuff that going forward, this government is going to see as opposition. Even though we have the freedom of speech to talk about this, we should still take that extra step to protect us and protect those around us. And we'll talk about tools like, two-factor authentication, being suspicious of any link you're sent. Don't download anything that anyone sends you unless you are 100% sure that that came from the trusted individual. Because for your conversations, regular text, these are text on your phone, the SMS text, email, and messaging apps, they're like postcards. Everyone who gets their hands on it can easily read them. From when you click send, your internet provider will be able to read them. The application running the platform you're on will be able to read them. And then the recipient, anyone who's catching it in between, think those hackers like Mr. Robot trying to snoop in on your conversation, will be able to read it. It's very bad. And so the solution is end-to-end encryption. This will be for most things. This is the paramount security advice I can give you right now is if it has end-to-end encryption, use it. It's so complicated under the hood though. There's no need to deep dive into it to figure out all the algorithms behind how it works. What we're going to teach you instead is to kind of think about a new framework, a new way of thinking is you need to start researching the trusted companies in the industry. These would be people like you probably have all heard of Signal, maybe everyone's heard of Proton Mail. These are two big names in the kind of cyber secure aware industry where they have products that have end-to-end encryption messaging capabilities, but they're also trying to push what I'm teaching you today to a wider set of audience. So we're all following these basic cybersecurity hygiene. Once you've found that company and you've researched it, I'm going to use Proton just because it's the one I'm most familiar with. Become familiar with their product line. Look at everything they offer. Proton offers, they have an email, a secure email. They have VPNs. They have password managers, they have calendars, they have pretty much everything you could need to run your day-to-day life in one company, which is nice, but there's a caveat. You need to become familiar with their product line and the company itself, because you're going to want to assign it a trust level, whether you write that down or it's just living up in your head. Take what you've reviewed with them, and in this case, Proton is open source, so I do recommend you look at the source code, or at least pump it into some sort of chat GPT. Go to their GitHub, take a few of the files, copy and paste it, and be like, have ChatGPT tell you what's going on with it. And if it passes the sniff test and you're like, I can trust this company, sign up, get you an account. Make sure when you do this trust check, make sure you're not just trusting with the tech company. Go to go to news articles that have done reviews on it that are in the industry, like TechCrunch or The Verge or some other kind of tech-based media corporation, and see what their reviews are like. Some tools to know. Password managers are going to be your number one thing to use because we all have 900 different accounts. We've got social media, bank accounts, local accounts, specific student accounts. They all have a login and a password. No one wants to remember those passwords. So a little bit of advice is don't try to learn and memorize every password. Try to recognize the tools you need to use, learn those tools, become so familiar with them, you can tell someone how to get to your password in the dark. For instance, like I don't know the passwords to any of my accounts. They're all long, complicated strings, but I can tell you how I can get into my Proton Pass account 3 different ways. So that's what you do. Second tool would be a password checker. This is we've got built-in password checkers in most of your password managers, like Bitwarden has one. Let's see if these links will work from you know what, they probably won't work from us. There it is. So let's go to one of these real quick. So you can go, no, this is just straight on their website. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. Estimated time to crack, less than 1 second. Boom. Yeah. Let's do donut, and then add a bunch of these in here. Centuries. Doesn't really matter what your password is. It's more about the length of your password. If you have a company and an organization that is only letting you put in 4 characters, your password is always going to be weak. It doesn't matter what we put in here. It is, in there, I'm doing Control F. It doesn't matter what we put in here, it's always going to be weak. It's more about the length of your password. If you have a password this long, it's going to take centuries, eons for people to try to break into it. And no one wants to remember 90 different passwords, 90 different passwords, 25 characters long. So focus on your password managers. They will create randomized passwords for you. You don't need to sit there and come up with them. They have best practices built in with them. Put in a special character, put in a capital letter, put in a number. Let's see, can I get, oh, nope. Why would you go to the end? There we go. And then, yeah, so we got password managers, password checkers down, malware checkers for links and files. I'm just going to click on this on my side and I'll bring it over to you. But malware checkers for links and files like VirusTotal is a totally separate animal. You upload information. I'll just pull up. So VirusTotal is it's a company that was just recently purchased, I think, by Google. And what you can do in here is you can upload files, you can give it a URL to search, you can search through it, and what it'll do is it runs it through a bunch of backend databases that have known malicious files, URLs, and lets you know if it's a threat or not. This can be done by pretty much anyone. It's open to the public. This is most likely use case for us will be if you get an email from someone and it has a link in it and you're not specifically sure if that link is going to lead you to viruses or not, copy and paste it in VirusTotal, see what it says. This is not something you should be uploading your personal stuff into. If it's something to do with DoD, sure, it's probably going to be public anyway. But if it is your finance information from your bank, don't throw it through a malware checker like this. Go to someone else, call in an actual person to look at it. If it's a MP3 file from your buddy and you want to check it out, you think it's cool, but it might be dangerous, pass that through VirusTotal, sure. Or if it's anything in any email, if anyone sends you any email, your friend or not, double check the links, double check anything before you download them, maybe run them through VirusTotal. If they've sent you a PDF, make sure it's not going to do anything malicious, and you'll be good there. And then there are a ton of cybersecurity training out there. Let's see if this will work. Yep. We'll go to this one at first. See, it's even going to have you create an account. So there's another password for you to manage. And then,
and those accounts are free. Those are both
exactly
free tutorials, overviews on security.
And there are a ton of them out here. And George and I are more than happy to get you more information later if you need it. Other than that, super simple. Throw 2FA on, and that two-factor authentication is going to look like a number of things. It could look like a text message sent to you from your bank. I'm pretty sure most of us have seen that, where it's like, this is your one-time code, and it's usually a 6-digit code. Don't show it to anyone. Those come in many forms. They could be sent in text, they could be sent in email, they could be sent directly to your phone. If any of you have Google accounts on your phone, they have a two-factor authentication method that literally sends a prompt to your phone to be like, click yes or no. Are you logging into this account? If you can, have two-factor authentication in some form on every account available. Some providers do not have the infrastructure behind them to let you do 2FA, and that's fine. They will probably get it eventually, but I do know right now those 2FA methods that are sending it via text messages, they are not the most secure. Regular texting is open to the world at this point. Texting and phone calls, the protocols behind them have built-in backdoors just in them themselves. So if you're not using a end-to-end encrypted communication method like Proton Mail, Signal, then you can just automatically assume that anything you're saying can and will be caught in the middle by someone. So just be aware that if you want to talk about something maybe you shouldn't be heard talking about, use Signal. Get a Signal account. It's free. You don't have to link it to your personal phone number. You can create a Google number and link it to that. You can buy a burner phone and link it to that. And these are the tools you're going to be needing to use when you're going on the boots at the ground at the protests and stuff. You need to either have your phone turned off, put into a Faraday bag, which is, it's just a pretty much a metal envelope that you put your phone into, and that blocks the outside wireless connections from getting to your phone and sending your information out to the police and whoever is trying to, monitor us. In this case, probably ICE. And then that is the basics. There is a whole bunch of other stuff we can go into about attending protest, but we'll do that closer to any major protest we see coming up. So be on the lookout if we're going to be, as DoD, as an organization, if we're going to be attending a little higher risk protests, we'll probably get a group together beforehand and sit them down with tech, and we'll go through and make sure they've got a plan in place for communicating while they're on the ground with both them, their team, and a backup team at DoD. So with that, George, did I leave anything out before we move on to Q&A?
I don't know if you wanted to speak to any more details about, how to protect your information when you're at a protest, or any kind of a march, just in case.
I want to say, I actually want to agree with Josh, so that for anybody here who's organizing protests and staying safe during protests, there's a lot of components that go into that. So when Defense of Democracy, when we either join a protest or a march or a rally, you would be talking to your volunteer state director, who would be trained to be able to kind of show you how to do that. So for that particular scenario, I think we should do it when it comes up, because, you know, to me, it's not going to be remembered. You know what I mean? Like,
No, it's not. And I would rather do like a pre-training a day or two before an event takes place than give them information now and everyone just be like, oh, I remember talking to that dude 6 months ago.
right, exactly. So
Yeah.
going through a couple of the questions that came up in the chat, Kate asked, will the password manager sync with my iPhone and MacBook? Because currently that doesn't
Yes.
happen.
Yes.
All major password managers, Bitwarden, Google, Proton Pass, LastPass, they all have built-in, not built-in, they all have separate mobile apps as well. So they'll link to your desktop, your phone, your laptop. And as long as you're logged into the right
And the
account,
browser. So if you're
and the
not even
browser.
on one of your own devices, you can access your passwords from a browser.
So Kate, what you're saying currently it doesn't happen. What password manager are you using that doesn't sync like that?
I think that both Google is working and then the Apple, whatever comes with Apple.
Oh,
All right.
that's just the
Yeah.
Apple's built-in password manager is only working with Apple products. So that
Right.
will work across your iPhone if you have a Mac computer or an AirPod, not AirPods, if you have iPads, it'll work within the Apple ecosphere, but it won't work outside of that.
Well, it's not, but maybe it's the Google thing.
But that's
Maybe my laptop's doing it one way because they don't. I mean, I had the problem today. I couldn't log into something, Discover, I guess.
so as somebody who's a layperson who learned how to use or is continuing to learn how to use Bitwarden, it is very different from the password manager that comes built in. Either Google has the password manager, Apple has a password. They all have, like, we'll save your password for you. And that is, to me, one of the worst ways
Don't
to
trust those. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, go ahead,
Go
Josh.
ahead. I was going to say, I've got a thing I want to talk about between open source and closed source when Karen's done. Karen, finish your thought, and then I'll go into
I
my
want to make sure
tirade.
that everybody understands what we're talking about when we say a password manager like Bitwarden. So Bitwarden is what we use, and basically you create an account with this platform so that you only have to remember one password, which is the password to get into that account, that platform. So what I'll do is I will log into Bitwarden and, you know, use that one password. And then I open it up and it's kind of like an electronic Rolodex. It's got, I have to save all the passwords in there, but it creates basically a list and there's a search bar and I can say, okay, I want to know what my password is for Walmart. So I'll go in there in the search bar and I'll put in Walmart, and then you can just copy the password and use it. So that is the difference. And your Google manager might say, oh, we're gonna, you know, save this password. Well, that's all well and good, that's fine. But like we all know that the Google password manager like can get screwed up. You can click something wrong and all of a sudden your password is changed and now you can't get into your account. So Bitwarden is a one-stop, you know, really think of it, if you want to think of it like a Rolodex or a phone book or something like that, where you've got a list and that is the only place you create passwords, and that's where you go to find the passwords. So it's not, and that you will just need to log into Bitwarden, and there's an app. You could download the app for your phone, your Mac, your PC, whatever. So does that make a little more sense? Because it's very, very different from Google Password Manager.
No, it's great. Thanks.
Is there an easy way to move 900 passwords into the new system? So I will tell you this, as I actually just, I like Bitwarden so much that I'm actually starting up an account for my family. And, you know, there's all these kinds of ways that I can share profiles with, you know, they call them vaults with different members of my family. Bitwarden does have a like, none of us here are really Bitwarden experts, but they do have a not a chat, but where you can email them a question like that. So, you know, if you go on there and just say help, and you will send them an email and just say, how do I have 900 passwords, how do I move them onto the new system? And maybe there's a way and maybe not. Chances are, though, you might want to, you should be doing it anyway, but maybe reinstating your passwords, updating them, changing them.
Oh, definitely, at least every year.
Yeah.
And that is, it's not because it's gone stale or anything. It's because the longer it's been out there is the more time it's had for someone to hack it. People do not need to take your password, immediately log into your account. They can log into your account 10 years from now. If you got the same password, they can take those 10 years and keep trying every day.
Right. So Kate, this might be a good reason, a good excuse for you to create a whole bunch of new passwords.
Mhm.
And you don't have to do it
Most,
once. You do it like when you're logging into something, you say, okay, I'm going to take an extra 3 minutes and I'm going to go to Bitwarden and I'm going to create a password and then I'm going to reset it and then I'm going to save it in Bitwarden.
I'm sure everyone has heard about the recent, over the past few years, actually, hacks where people have broken into systems and downloaded everybody's information, their user IDs and passwords, in some cases, social security numbers, all kinds of data. Bitwarden and the majority of these other tools will actually get a hold of those databases that are available out on the dark internet. Don't go there. And take your passwords and scan those databases to see if they are out in public.
And they'll
And
have checkers built into them, letting you know, hey,
Yep.
this password you're trying to be put in has been seen here and there.
And we
Yep.
will be sending out, I mean, Josh and George, if you could give it to me, I'll be sending out, someone's asking, can you share the link with this and that, anything that we've talked about here. I'll
Mhm.
send a follow-up email and include all the
Yeah.
links. Everybody who registered for this will have the links to everything we're talking about.
yeah, one of the other big things that's happening in the tech industry is a move to do away with passwords.
Exactly.
Passwords are based on you knowing something, remembering something to enter. The industry is moving towards passkeys, which are encrypted files that get stored on a device that you have. Or it might be some biological imprint, so a fingerprint, or even a face scan. Most all of the phones today, the smartphones, you can use your face to log in, which is good and bad, depending on where you are or who gets a hold of the phone. But that is becoming more and more. In fact, Microsoft, I think I saw an article last week, is going to be pushing that more and more this year. I currently log into my computer, into my laptop and my phone with facial recognition or my fingerprint. Many of these password managers can also use that biotechnology as your second factor to log in, as opposed to receiving a one-time password, the one-time code. So there's going to be a lot of changes in these things, and the more comfortable you are in using them, the more protected you're going to be.
Correct.
One of the things
Definitely get familiar and learn the tool rather than the method.
yeah, one of the things that I've liked about Bitwarden is that it is based on open source, which means that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people who continually scour the source code for the application, looking for bugs, ways to get into the software, not just from the company that owns it. And so that is an additional safety feature. Their licensing is also awesome because you can sign up and get a free account that you can also have one other person access. And you can set up rules on which entries, who can see what. So everybody doesn't have everything, but if you've got a shared account, or if you want to make sure that someone in your family has access to your passwords, just in case, that's a good thing. They also have a family account that Karen was mentioning that only costs $10 a year. That's $10 a year. And that is just unheard of. I found out about the tool from my last job, where we had an enterprise license that integrated with and was managed by our IT team. And so it's very, very scalable. Many of the other tools, and we're not just, we use Bitwarden, so we'll talk about that one. Proton Pass is also very, very well regarded in the industry.
And these are companies built around these tools. I do not recommend you use your default password managers in like Google Chrome, Internet Explorer. Those are there as a feature. They're not there for that company's focus. So it's not getting an entire focus to make sure it is secure and up to date. While Bitwarden
and they're
and
decent.
They're decent.
They're
not,
but they're not going to give you the same kind of capabilities that these other tools will.
I just, I do see a couple hands raised. I would
Yep.
ask just a reminder that if you have questions, please put them in the chat so that I can pose them that way.
Mel, go ahead.
Okay, being an older guy, and George, you are too, but you know this stuff, and not having grown up with computers, it really is a struggle with me. And the type of things that get me confused, I think I tried to use Bitwarden at one point, and somehow I couldn't get used to it. But when I love face recognition, because not only did I not learn computers, but my mind is not quite as sharp as it used to be. So I love face recognition, but it's very inconsistent. I don't know exactly why certain accounts or programs will ask for it, and other ones will leave me in the lurch. I think I may have too many things going on. Does Google conflict with the Apple one, with Microsoft one? And when I get these prompts like, do you want to save this password? I sometimes can't even tell if it's if it's Google asking that or if it's a Microsoft one. So what would you guys recommend in terms of trying to clean this up? I will try Bitwarden again, but I think I screwed it up at the beginning and it got more complicated, I think, in terms of trying to change the account or change the password. So
I suggest Bitwarden.
Totally understand what you're talking about, Mel. And there's actually a couple of pieces of the Bitwarden environment that play into this. You can access your vault, your password vault, via a web browser, but they also have a separate Windows application that would run like Microsoft Word as an application on your computer that connects to that cloud database. And they have plugins to your browser that can interact with web pages. And then they also have the apps on your mobile devices. And so, and you're right, those prompts that come from built into browsers and from other apps that make, some computer vendors will ship a computer with their partner's app to try to help with this, and it can be very, very confusing.
So George, I guess my
argument.
question on that is, how do you know then where you should be saving your
hold on a minute,
password
Al.
and what to respond to and say yes,
Mel?
click? Yeah.
This is a much deeper conversation than we have time for right now.
Okay.
If you reach out to helpdesk@defensivedemocracy.org and let that know, George and I monitor that help desk. Just let them know you want some one-on-one time with us to walk you through this. So I'd be more than happy to do it.
Well, I've been
Yep.
using a local person and paying actually to get a little more
Oh.
comfortable also, because I know that the
Good.
help desk time is limited.
The direct answer to your question is pick one tool that runs on all of your devices, laptop, phone, tablet, whatever you use, and say, I'm going to turn off any browser option to manage passwords. And I'm only going to use this tool, and I'm going to slog through learning all the idiosyncrasies of the tool.
And that would be Bitwarden, preferable from you guys.
Yes.
Whichever tool you select, but yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. So does anyone else present here have any other questions or comments or anything that you would like to put in the chat? And if not, I want to say a huge thank you to both George and Josh, who worked on this presentation and shared a lot of valuable information. George is another one of our amazing board members. He's been with Defense of Democracy a long time. He meets with me almost every week, as does Josh. So Defense of Democracy runs on the backs of volunteers like the two you see here, and like all 20 plus people who are sitting and watching this program. This will be recorded. It will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, so you'll be able to watch it. And I just want to thank everyone for your time. And real quick, I'm going to mention what is upcoming for our next Defense of Democracy University, which is held on July 22nd. That session is going to be really fascinating. We have a social media influencer who she has millions of followers. She has built herself a brand from the ground up. She's got all kinds of amazing tips and tricks about how we can use social media to amplify the work that we're doing. I think that one's going to be amazing too. So please feel free to take advantage of these programs that we're offering. And Josh, George, thank you both so very much for your time. And Annette, thank you for doing what you do and for sponsoring today's series. All right, everybody.
I want to reiterate what Josh said about our help desk. I love helping people with technology. Much to my wife's chagrin. I spent probably 15 to 20 hours over the past couple of weeks with my wife's cousin trying to get 2 new computers set up. We did finally get there. And Mel, he is also getting older and is losing dexterity with his typing, and so we have tools to help do that sort of thing. And I can't guarantee that I'm always available, but I'm retired.
George, I will speak to you about that, because it's always been an issue with me, because I never learned keyboard.
Yep, I got it.
Because of discrimination back in junior high school, basically. But I will speak to you about that, because I could certainly use something.
You bet.
I'm tired of people thinking I'm stupid because I have too many typos.
I totally understand.
All right, guys, everybody have a great night. We will see you in our upcoming meetings. Thank you. Thank you.